riding around the block with her Glock. Your ass bout to get shot. Banna banna boom. Got in drama. Banna banna boom. It's Margaret, bitch. Hey you guys, it's Yarn Goddess Cosplay, and I'm back again with another Stitch and Bitch Sunday. And yes, I'm still rewatching American Horror Story 1984 because I hate my existence apparently. It's actually like not that bad the second time because I begin to like dramatically remember parts of the show, so I don't have to watch it again. So I just skip through it and get to the parts that I've forgotten. But like, boy oh boy, I got notes on notes on notes for these next two episodes because I didn't realize that the bullshit was just begun. Like the bullshit was like, oh, you haven't even seen what we could do. You haven't even smelt what we could do. So I'm gonna try and keep this video short, but if y'all didn't go get a snack, go get a snack now, girl, because it is a roller coaster. But first, if you are new here, hey, what's up? How'd you find me? Thank you for watching my video. Thank you for coming across my video and clicking play. I hope the thumbnail was, I don't know, baby enough for you. I hope my song in the intro was enough for you. Like, I hope those two things implore you to like this video and subscribe. I'm currently at 81 subscribers. I'm going to say that number is the same by the time this video goes up, but I am trying to get monetized, and oh, yep, it's a trap. We in this group project, okay? I am trying to lead this project. All of you guys out here trying to work with me, trying to get that monetization, trying to get those views up, trying to get that subscriber number up. You thought this was going to be an individual project, but no, your teacher came in and said, guess what? Group up, and we all cried and moaned together. But I greatly appreciate you watching the video. Feel free to subscribe, like, you know, tell your friends about me. I'm trying to get paid out here. If you are a current subscriber, thank you guys so much for liking my videos and watching my videos and subscribing to me. I was actually really surprised. Like, I explained in my other video how I like low-key ghosted you guys for a good 2-ish years, and I came back and y'all were like, so she thinks she just walk in here. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't know what I wanted on this channel. I knew I wanted a YouTube channel. I didn't know what content I wanted on the channel. And then I knew what content I wanted, but I didn't know what content I wanted to regularly make, okay? It was a work in progress. It took a while, but I'm here, and I'm queer, and I'm ready to go. Let's get in it. Let's get started. I don't want to make this video too. I'm already tired. Like, I'm trying to keep this video for like 3 minutes. Like, that's not gonna happen. I wish I could do this in 3 minutes, but nope. It's gonna be at least 25 minutes. But we're gonna get into it. So if you are unfamiliar with Stitch and Bitch Sundays, it's where I stitch. Today I'm working on a beautiful little baby blanket and bitch about a terrible show that I watched. This show currently being American Horror Story 1984. It was so bad it had me rage screaming on my Instagram story, and I realized I had to talk about it now before it started to eat at me emotionally and spiritually. I had to get the demon out of my system before it took over my body. So here I am getting it out because I can't just go through this alone. I need to talk to somebody after this. It is bad. It is really bad. Last two episodes I reviewed episode 1, episode 2. Today I'm reviewing episode 3 and episode 4. So real quick, I'm literally not gonna explain anything. Like, if you don't know what's going on, go watch the first video, please, or go watch the TV show and then get back to me. But we on the clock here. We gotta get through this. So real quick, killers are out and about in the camp. Everyone's trying to get the fuck out of Dodge, and nothing's going right. We have Mr. Satan, killer number 1, and Mr. Jingles, which I guess is killer number 1, but he was like in an asylum that was conveniently 3 hours away from the camp where he committed all these murders. He's out now, and he's killing again. So basically everyone's trying to leave. I think Angelica Ross's character gets attacked by Mr. Jingles, but fortunately she survives. She was like, I ain't going out like that. And she meets up with the rest of the group, but unfortunately the rest of the group is in the car already. They're about to leave her. Like, of course they're about to leave her. And I don't know why. Why would they put Xavier, the guy who hit a person earlier that day, they put him behind the wheel. And you know what his dumbass does? Crashes the car. Yes. Crashes the goddamn vehicle. To nobody's surprise. Just disappointment. So now the car is messed up. They can't go anywhere. The other car that was parked, I think, next to the van is also messed up. So both the vehicles are down. And they're just like, yo, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? Like, how we gonna get out of here? Angelica's like, oh, y'all bitches were gonna leave me? You know what? Irrelevant. Okay, so I have my little buggy. I could carry 2 or 3 people in my car. But, like, my keys are back in the cabin. And Mr. BD, aka Trevor, he's over here like, I got a motorcycle, okay? I could put someone in the back, we can make this work, and we could get out of here together, okay? Or one of us could go get the cops or something and say, yo, Mr. Jingle's out and he's killing again. So they all go, okay, break. And they separate and go find their car keys. Why don't they have their car keys on them at all times? I don't know. I don't go anywhere without my car keys. Is this the 80s thing? It's just a hard thing to like keep your personal belongings elsewhere from your actual persons. Like, I don't get that. Like, especially your car keys. Man, my car may be somewhere else, but my car keys be with me at all times. So the gang is broken up into 2 groups. We got BD, Montana, and Xavier going to get BD, aka Trevor's motorcycle keys, and we have Ray, Brooke, and Ross, aka, you know, Angelica, going to get her car keys in another cabin. We follow Angelica and her group to the cabin because it's closest, and it's kind of funny because she's like, I'm not going in first, and Ray's like, I'm not going in first, and Brooke is just like, y'all some bitches, I'll go in first. So she goes in, they all go into the cabin after her, and they try to find the car keys, and lo and behold, Mr. Satan is there, and they're just like, oh shit, he's banging on the door, quickly, close the door, close the door. And I also forgot to mention that Chet is also with them. Like, I don't know why, I cannot for life of me remember this person's name, story, origin. He really has no purpose other than to be your typical, I guess, 80s failed Olympian, because literally his whole story is, hey, I was gonna go to the Olympics this summer, I can't because they found drugs in my system. I'm not saying I had drugs in my system. Later in the series, he goes, yes, I did take those drugs, to nobody's surprise. So, like I said, he's forgetful. I don't really know why he's there. I think they just needed another 80s trope character for their series, and they're like, hey, Chet, you'll be here. You do this. He also does a lot of crying. Like, I'm not saying men should not cry. I definitely, like, appreciate, you know, them having the guy just cry all the time. But my issue with him is that he's whiny. Like, he cries and then he goes back and forth between not quite being sad, but being whiny, like, oh, I don't want to be here, to I'm going to be really problematic and kind of use a little bit of racism towards Ray. And then back to, like, you know, feel bad for me. And back to this really, like, the sorrow isn't sincere enough for me to be like, it's good to see a guy expressing his emotions on camera. It just seems disingenuous is my issue with it. Ray does math. So we have Mr. Satan out here banging on the door. He gets inside and Ray's just like, he can't get all of us. And to which Diana, or yeah, I keep wanting to call her Diana because her first name is Ross, but it's fine. That's just my thing. But Angelica, let's go with the actor's name. But Angelica looks at Ray like, well, he said math, and they all break up and basically run away from Ray. And I'm just like, damn, y'all really, this left him. Like, y'all were upset for a hot second, and then Mr. Satan broke into the cabin, and y'all were like, this ain't making sense, though. We gotta go, okay? He can't get all of us, right, Ray? Right. So he goes, and I think Chet comes back and saves him from Mr. Satan, and we're all just like, oh, he cares about the person he believes. So, it's so sweet. But, you know, they run off and everything, and now, you know, it's just a muck. It's a whole craziness going on. Meanwhile, back in the other cabin, Montana, Trevor, and Xavier are looking for Trevor's motorcycle keys. And they get stuck in the cabin because they hear something bang on the door. And they're like, oh crap, it's probably Mr. Jingles. And they were right and they were wrong. They were correct that it was Mr. Jingles. They were wrong because it wasn't the real Mr. Jingles. Because lo and behold, we have pranksters. Because what else do we need in this show? Pranksters. So they find out that, you know, these 2 guys and everything are out here in the woods pretending to be Mr. Jingles. They have no idea that the real Mr. Jingles is out there. And they find out because that Mr. Jingles comes up behind them and kills them. Just because. You know, why not? So that whole thing happens while Mr. Jingles is killing the fake Mr. Jingles with the S, because there's 2 of them. Montana, Trevor, and Xavier run off, and they're just like, yo, I'm not saying that, they were in the right place at the right time, but I'm saying I'm glad it wasn't me. Meanwhile, the other group, Mr. Darwin with his they can't catch all of us, Ray and Chet basically break up from the girls because they're running in the woods separately, and Angelica and Brooke are together, and they're waiting by the car for the boys, and the boys are basically wandering through the woods. Unfortunately, there's a trap. It's a trap. They fall into this pit of spikes, and Ray does not get hit by the spikes, but Chet does through his shoulder. And basically Chet, he starts crying more, justifiably so, and everything. But I think what kind of kills me about the scene is that he's still low-key mad at Ray. He's upset that Ray can't get him off of the spike that's going through his shoulder. And I'm just like, my dude, you're low-key impaled. He's doing his best. I don't understand why I get why you're upset, but also I'm kind of it's gonna take 2 people to lift you, and Ray, he's not that strong, nor is he on drugs. So this is a shit luck for you right now, sir. But basically, Ray takes this opportunity to tell Chet that one reason why he wanted to get out of the city was because he killed someone back home. Now, mind you, he thinks Chet is dying, which seems to be a running problem that he has with people, because he was part of a fraternity. They were doing the haze week. Just basically they were hazing people, and one guy that he was responsible for got too drunk. He gave him a couple seconds to kind of relax and get his shit together, and he falls down a flight of stairs. And instead of calling the police or checking to make sure that the guy fell on the flight of stairs is actually dead, he just touches his hand to his neck real quick and goes, oh crap, he's not breathing. I'm going to assume he's dead. This is really important to note because he decides to, for some reason, take his body and put it in his car. Not in Ray's car, but in the person who got hazed, who fell, who was most likely just super fucking drunk. Put him in his car and basically launch his car off a cliff and make it look like an accident. To which, as he's about to go through with this plan, the guy wakes up. So he actually ends up killing him by mistake on purpose, because he can't check to see if someone has a pulse. He just assumed that because they weren't breathing, they were dead. I don't even know. It was so dumb watching the whole thing, because he wakes up, he looks at him, and Ray's just like, oh my god, and the guy's like, what are you doing? And then he realized that he's about to fall off the cliff, and he's just like, wow, really? Wow. And then he falls off the cliff and dies. So Ray later tells Chet, because he's assumed that Chet's either dead or dying, because again, he's really bad at this. And he basically tells them that there were news reports, people found the car, and it was just a matter of time before people realized that he did it, because on his way out, the guy in the car that he thought was dead grabbed his watch and, pulled that into the car with him before it went off the cliff. So he was like, I gotta leave town, I gotta go. They're gonna find out it's me. I'm black in the city, it's the 80s. Not gonna be a good time for me. So, to no one's surprise, Chet is not dead. He hears everything, and he's just like, yo, I promise you that I won't tell anyone, but that's really messed up. And I forget exactly why, but they got into a little argument over how messed up his story was. And Ray's just like, it's an accident. And Chet's like, you killed someone. And Ray's just like, fine, I'm leaving you. And Chet's like, wait, no. And I'm like, y'all didn't have to do all this. Y'all could have been... The show was so bad. The show was so bad. So basically, Ray magically finds the strength to pull himself out of the pit and leaves Chet behind. And basically, he's like, if he dies, yeah, he's back on his Darwin bullshit. If you die, you die. So later at the car, the girls are still waiting for Chet and Ray to meet up with them so they could go and get the police or whatever. And Brooke is like, listen, I think the smart idea here is to leave, go get help, and then come back. To which Angelica's like, y'all just be leaving anyone out here. Y'all really out here just listen, if they die, they die. So eventually Angelica's like, you know what, that's a good idea. You know what, you go get help. Here are my car keys. You come back, I'll fend for myself. And she basically tricks her, and she takes out essentially horse tranquilizer and like knocks Brooke out. And I'm just like, where'd you get the horse tranquilizer from, ma'am? Can you explain to the class how we got here? And they do. So basically, Angelica's character is not who she said she is. She is actually a psychiatrist who works specifically with serial killers. And she's trying to figure out what makes Mr. Jingles tick. So basically, her whole thing is she thinks serial killers are made by watching too much porn. This is her logic. This is her reasoning. She assumes that because of the increase of accessibility to pornographic magazines, that men are out here killing more often. To which I said, bitch, what? What in the non-science? How did you get here? Who lied to you? Who hurt you? Like, I had so many questions, but you know what? We kept rolling with it. So basically, she's a psychiatrist. She's met with Mr. Jingles. She's like, Mr. Jingles, guess what? They're reopening the camp. I need to see how you function in the wild because I want to know what makes you tick. So you know what? I'm going to help break you out of this psych ward. And she does. And apparently Mr. Jingles is like, yes, help me break out here. I'm not going to kill you. Because that's how she survived earlier. Not because she like beat his ass, but because he's like, yo, Angelica, I'm doing what? Okay, so here are my notes, you know, for your research or whatever. Like, it's just something, it's just so dumb. The whole thing's so dumb. So, and she like, you know, has Brooke and everything. And she's like, Brooke, you know, I'm using you and everything because I just need to figure out if he just kills because he kills or if he has to like, you know, hunt people down first. I'm trying to do science here. You just happen to be the lab rat. And mind you, Angelica doesn't even know about Satan. The highlights to remember is Birdie basically fights Mr. Jingles. She does not win. Mr. Jingles puts Xavier in the oven and basically says to broil and leaves him alone. Birdie's not dead and everything. Like, she's beat up pretty bad and everything, but she manages to get Xavier out of the oven. And basically Birdie's like, bitch, I'm done. I'm too badly wounded. Just like, you know, kill me. Xavier's like, I mean, I guess. And he does it. He's really upset about it. He's really sad. But what kills me about her death is that, like, she dies. And Xavier's like, oh my god, I can't believe I killed her. And then he looks in the reflection and he's like, oh my god, my acting career is ruined. And I'm like, okay, of course. So the most traumatic thing that happened to you tonight is the fact that your acting career is ruined because you have basically been burned and you can't get hired anywhere for a non-monster gig. Whew, boy, priorities. So, anyhow, Brooke gets caught in a net in the woods because she wakes up and she's like, what the fuck? And Angelica's like, you're my guinea pig. And she gets caught in a net, and Angelica basically is like, yo, I need to see like how this goes. And while she's in the net, Montana finds her, to which I'm just like, ooh, girl, you got the worst kind of luck, not Montana. And Montana's just like, okay, I'm gonna go get help. She's not gonna go get help. She goes to get Mr. Satan Man. So Mr. Satan Man, you know, finds her, and he's just like, yo, you more slippery than water. To which I don't understand why he said it like that, but he did. It was a choice. And lo and behold, Mr. Jingles is also there. So now we have this very Freddy versus Jason showdown. Mr. Jingles wins and everything. He gets wounded a little bit, but like ultimately he wins. Montana is watching in the background because she's like, I want to see Brooke die. And Angelica's like, you're not going to get involved in my experiments, you need to let go. And they fight and everything. She knocks out Angelica, and basically Montana gets to see her boo get killed. And she's just like, she's not even sad. Like, that's what kills me. She's not even sad that he's dead. Like, she seems kind of remorseful, but more so she seems irritated that he didn't kill Brooke first. To which I'm just like, you didn't really love him. But Brooke, while everyone else was fighting, manages to like scurry away. And I'm just like, damn, she's so lucky. Like, no matter what, you could put her in a net, knock her out, all of this, she's just gonna survive. But she scurries away. And okay, so all that is happening over there. So over here in the other cabin and everything, like Chet and Trevor are basically like, you know, Chet and everything's in basically he's like not good, and he has like a scalpel, and he's in bed, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna wait for Trevor to come back and save me, because Trevor has to go find Margaret, and Burr has to go find Margaret, because he's like, I gotta go save everybody. So he goes to go find Margaret. He tells her what happens, and Margaret's just surprisingly calm. She's like, oh, it's fine, I have a gun, we have to worry about the kids the next morning. And I'm just like, this is suspicious. Like, I feel like Cardi B, that's suspicious. But she's just a little too calm. So basically, long story short, to which no one is surprised. What kills me is that the story is so obvious that it's not surprising or entertaining. It's just annoying. Margaret's like, oh, guess what? Well, back in the day, I used to be a camp counselor and everything. And Mr. Jingles was like, you know, the janitor for the camp and all that. And he and I had a really weird thing where I'm just like, hey, ooh, look at you. Got a little cut on your finger. Let me just like suck the finger for you and make this really weird eye contact and ask you if you do anything to protect me. To which he goes, yes. And she's just like, perfect. I have a new scapegoat. So she kills everyone in the cabin who ever made fun of her, and she basically blames on Mr. Jingles. And he's just like, what the hell? But he doesn't remember any of this, because when he's in the asylum, they just fry his brain until he can't remember it correctly. Because that's what happens in American Horror Story. You get electrocuted until you forget the real story. So that whole thing happens. We find out. Everyone else doesn't know yet. I'm like, y'all need to leave Margaret. Margaret gonna be okay. Margaret got God, gun, and trauma. She be alright. She'll be alright. But yeah, so no one else knows this. Trevor eventually finds her. Mr. Jingles also finds her. She tells Mr. Jingles the truth, and then ta-da, the gun. He's like, oh my god, Mr. Jingles killed you. And I'm just like, run. And he gets stabbed. She stabs him, and she's like, oh, I haven't done that in like 14 years. Like, it gives her joy. And I'm just like, ew, but okay. So basically he gets killed and everything. She takes off his ear, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm in my element now. I'm gonna go back to killing or whatever. Like, fuck the kids in the morning. She's killing tonight. But that whole thing happens, and she turns around, and Mr. Jingles got away. And like, they leave it this really weird kind of like, aw, that's sad and everything. Like, he was, you know, tricked to being a killer. But what kills me is that, like, he runs into Xavier, because Xavier is out. He's trying to find everyone else. He has no idea what's going on. The whole point is that no one has no idea what's going on. And he runs to Mr. Jingles, and Mr. Jingles is like, oh god. And Xavier's like, oh god, please don't, like, kill me, but, like, if you do it, like, you do thoroughly or whatever, but, like, don't do it. And Mr. Jingles is like, that was never me. That's not me anymore. I'm not a killer. And I'm like, yes, you are. You were murdering. You have been a killer for 3 episodes, sir. You can't just decide. He just like leaves Xavier and everything. He's trying to get the dodge now. He's like, listen, I'm not a killer no more. Now I know the truth. I'm not gonna be killing nobody anymore. And it just, the whole thing just seems, it's so bad. It's such bad writing. There's no real major realization or anything. He's just like, oh cool, I have the truth now. I'm gonna leave. And that's it. But, oh gosh. So Margaret and everything has killed Trevor, and the rest of the crew, they think they eventually like, get together, and Brooke is like, Brooke is meeting up with Montana, and she still has no idea Montana's trying to kill her, and I think Margaret meets up with whoever else is still alive. Like, it's really hard to keep track of the story because they keep running into each other and not running into each other and all that. And oh yeah, no, Chet does eventually start walking because Trevor, before he leaves him, shoots him up with adrenaline, And I'm just like, that's not how that works, but okay. But Chet basically doesn't get his wound like cauterized or anything. He just kind of puts a bunch of cotton on it and like calls it a day. And he's up and walking around, and he's just like, okay, guess what? You know, we have one more car we could get to, and that's on the cock. That's the active God guy's car. They didn't even give him a name. He just has that one line that absolutely murders me. And then they're like, oh wait, he drove here. Let's go get his car. So obviously Margaret gets to the car before everyone else. She blows it up and she's like, Mr. Jingles blew up the car. Oh my God. He attacked me and Trevor sacrificed himself to save me. And I'm just like, I find it interesting how you went out of your way to make sure everyone knew what happened. Like, no one asked you. No one asked you. Like, why are you such a liar? No one asked you what happened to Trevor or how you got here. No one said a damn thing, but you were like, for the record, I want everyone to know that I didn't kill Trevor. Like, oh my God, she's just so bad. Episode basically ends with, I think, Ross, aka Angelica's character, waking up and realizing, hey, I'm alive. What's good? How's my experiment going? Most likely sideways, but I don't care. I'm a scientist. And she sees Mr. Satan float in the air, and his heels get fixed, or his wounds get fixed. His eyes are black. The sound of Satan whispering in the wind is loud AF, and he is back to life. And he looks at her like, Satan is real. Like, just know that Marcus the bad guy, no one's surprised. Mr. Jingles is a killer, but he was framed for the first round of murders, and that wasn't his fault, but everything else tonight is his fault. Satan is real, and Margaret has a gun on her. Like, that's basically all you need to know about this episode. Ooh, look at me. We got stitches this time. The first time I couldn't stitch, I could only bitch. This time I could do both. So, you know. Look at me coming on up in life. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like this video. Make sure to tell all your friends about it. And be sure to catch me on the next one on next Sunday for episode, God, 5 and 6. I know it's bad because I can't even remember it right now. I remember how episode 7 stood out to me. I remember how episode 9 stood out to me. Not the whole thing, but just the end. But like, I can't even remember 5 and 6. Apparently my brain was just like, bitch, we're gonna forget all that. That was too traumatic to remember. But thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Be sure to like this video. Be sure to follow me on all my social media down below. I'll link that there. And also go check out my Patreon because, you know, I got some stuff over there I think you guys might like. If you want to see what some of my crochet stuff looks like, you know, when it's done, definitely go check that out. But I'm gonna go take a nap now. This is a lot.